Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to all of y'all. Welcome to episode, I think it's 130. I hope my math's right. Welcome to episode 130 of Cliff Notes Live. A good Memorial Day to y'all. Yeah, it's always important to keep in mind the reason for this holiday. We may talk about that a little bit later, but I hope y'all are all doing fantastic on this 3-day weekend. Before we go any further, all kinds of little things to talk about tonight. Before we go any further, big old SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love reality TV fans, especially love you guys that sit out here with me every Monday evening, and those of you who watch on replays as well. I appreciate all of y'all. Just makes for a fun Monday evening. So I hope y'all are doing fantastic today. Right off the bat, congratulations to Keith and Ma. I know we got a few people who graduated, so congrats to you guys. So cool. I saw a few signs up around our neighborhood for graduation, so I know all kinds of people getting ready to move on to other things after this week. So congrats to all of y'all. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. All right. Before we go any further, I'm going to come out here real quick and see who I've got out here. Keith Franken, right? Graduate, have so much fun. Congratulations, Keith. Zachary Wise. Zachary, how are you doing? We finished up our season of Survivor. We'll talk about that. Survivor a second. Marilyn Sutherland as well. Vicky Stone, Jake the Horror Movie Geek, Mark Taylor, Michelle Moore, my, how are you doing? See Amanda Lowe, Cindy Heyer, all of y'all, all my friends right here. I hope y'all doing fantastic. Terry Thomas, and did I miss Brian Hostetler? I want to talk about the voice a little bit as well. And I think, let's see, do I miss anyone on here? Kiki, I didn't forget you, Kiki. And the Misfire, Nathan, and Andy W. We'll call it right there. Welcome to all of y'all. It does give me a little warm spot in my heart when I see names out here and know that y'all stuck with me a long time, and it's very much appreciated and recognized as well. All right, so what's going on today? A little big brother news. Survivor's wrapped up, so we'll talk about that. But we got to start off. Well, before we do that, let me throw out my little notes because I always forget about this. For those of you who haven't already done so, please consider signing up for my YouTube channel and turning on notifications. We're in kind of this lull. Survivor's over. Big Brother hadn't started yet, so I don't know exactly what videos I'll do. I had Bowie on last week, my brother, which was a lot of fun. I don't know what I'll do going forward, but if you got notifications turned on, you'll find out if I drop the random video here and there. So please consider that, and you do a thumbs up while you're out there as well. That's always appreciated. So keep that in mind. We'll once I start covering Big Brother again, once it finally gets here, then we'll have a lot of folks, and we'll be doing a lot more videos and all as well. So get ready. All right, before we talk about reality TV, real quick, today is a very special day. Celebrating one of my favorite foods. Did y'all know today is National Biscuit Day? Now, if you're English versus American, biscuit may be something different to all of you. Those of you up there in Canada, what's a biscuit for you guys? Y'all are right in the middle. Is a biscuit what we call a cookie, or is a biscuit that nice flaky dough that you put the jelly on, or gravy, or however else you want to eat it? We got our definition. The Brits have their definition. Not sure where y'all are at, but it's National Biscuit Day. So whether you want to celebrate by going off and eating a cookie or eating something a little more tender and fluffy, either way is good for me. Now, inside the Big Brother house, we had a lot of cookies. They took care of us. They said they'd come out there weighing 40 pounds more than when I came in. All kinds of cookies, chocolate chip cookies, which one of my all-time favorites. They did not have biscuits, which kind of surprised. There's so much you can do with it. One of my favorites for breakfast, I always fix fried eggs with a piece of toast and stuff while I was in the house. Man, if I had a biscuit, a little jelly put on there, I would have been set. That's my go-to breakfast meal. I actually asked one time if maybe we could get a can of biscuits or something. And unfortunately, in Big Brother, you can request. You can request as much as you want, but very rarely do they actually come through and give you something if you request it. During my season, I know Holly I think when they're just four of us, she wanted to cook a Thai meal. She was a great cook. She wanted to cook a Thai meal, and sure enough, we found some coconut milk and a few special ingredients in the storage room one time for that. But for the most part, you ask for food, yeah, they're just gonna say, yeah, we'll keep it in mind, and then it never shows up. That happened to me with a can of biscuits. I guess they didn't think they figured I could go 3.5 months without the biscuits. I could ask for them in my HOH basket, but limited real estate and all of that. But National Biscuit Day, I love them with little Franks inside them, the pigs in a blanket. We call them that down here. Do y'all call them that in other parts of the world? I assume so, but I could be wrong. So happy National Biscuit Day. Enjoy your biscuits and think of me. All right. A few comments as we go into this. Let me look at a few things. Keith Franken. I graduated and I had so much fun at my all-nighter. Well, first of all, congratulations, Keith. I kind of jumped the gun talking about it earlier, but I know you were nervous about the all-nighter and all that. I think I told you at the time, nothing to be worried about. Celebrate your victories, all of y'all. Whether it's something as formal as a graduation or just something that you're extremely proud of that happened day to day, just take a moment, do a little celebrate. I did it in the Big Brother house. I had my little moves. Take time out to recognize your own accomplishments. Sometimes we're so busy looking at other people and either seeing how well they're doing or you think about them, but you don't always think about yourself and making sure you take time out to recognize everything that you've done as well. So Keith, congratulations. I'm doing a little celebrating for you and talking about biscuits. You're going to bakery school, pastry school, but you're going to be cooking up some mean biscuits before too long. So keep me in mind. I'm going to come visit once you wrap up. How's that sound? All right. Vicky Stone saying, do you remember a season of Big Brother that had the lady who seemed to make up illnesses? Oh, yes, indeed, Vicky. What season was that? Was that 18? It was Paul's first season. So maybe it was 17. The numbers are all, but who you're thinking of is Raven. Oh my gosh, Raven, who had it started off as I think a legit disease. I'm not going to be one to discount that. Some type of a stomach paralysis that made it difficult to digest food. So she had something that was real. Not that the rest wasn't that I know of. But now Raven had she had that at one point. I think she said that she'd been born with her kneecaps on backwards. I don't know if that means the back of the leg or upside down or what, but she had that. They asked her what her GPA was in college, and she said dance or something. She had a lot of health issues, right? That seemed to kind of kick in at opportune times sometimes. So yeah, we make a lot of fun of Raven. She was a character. She was tight with Matt, was kind of her ride or die. Matt, the guy who did nothing but eat cereal all season long. I was worried about that because as I mentioned a second ago, I'd always fix fried eggs in the morning. I'm the one that would fix macaroni and cheese. I felt like I was somewhat consistent in some of the foods I ate. I think, yeah, they're going to be talking about Cliff, the old guy who just eats the bologna sandwiches every day he's inside the house. Because that's what they did with Matt, who was on the same season with Raven. I'd like to think I did a few things other than just eating that distinguished me a little bit. But yeah, Raven was on that season. I remember Paul just a few times asking her questions and just kind of shaking his head. For those of you who don't know, I follow her. I think I still follow her. You would not ever know that she was on Big Brother or had any of that. She works on a boat somewhere. Looks completely different. It amazes me. But yeah, that was Raven. And as much fun as we make of her that season, everyone pretty much remembers and knows who she is, right? She kind of made a mark. She is a legacy. And a lot of people say, any press is good press. I don't believe that. Trust me, not in the day of social media, but she certainly made her mark on the show. People will know her for a long time. So yeah, that's Raven, Vicky, that you're thinking of. And if you have not seen her season, go check it out. I bet you can go on YouTube and probably type in Raven from Big Brother and find a few clips. And she was fun. She was fun to watch. All right, what else do we have out here? We've got Andy W saying, as a veteran, it's important to honor the fallen. Absolutely guarantee. I agree with you. Misfire saying, is Arlington National Cemetery your background? It is. I say that. I think it's Arlington National. It certainly looks like it, but Arlington is not the only veteran cemetery. It's not the only one that has similar tombstones. We've got one here in Houston, north side of town as well. So, and then you've got overseas in Normandy. Unfortunately, there's way too many places where you have cemeteries like this, and it's sometimes easy to forget just how many people have paid the ultimate price until you go somewhere like that. I've been to Arlington National a couple of times in my life, and it is a very surreal, very somber situation when you see so many. And what I like about it is, as you see, every tombstone's exactly the same. Just this idea that at the end of the day, you know, they're all soldiers. There's no one. It'd be privates, captains, generals. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they all have the same size headstone. They're all equal. They all have paid the sacrifice. It hits home when I see it. It really is something else. So yeah, on this day in particular, well, we ought to always remember our veterans, right? It's the fact that anyone is willing to stand up and sacrifice themselves for something beyond themselves says a lot, and full respect. And yeah, we always remember yeah, it's important. It means a lot to me. All right, Mark Taylor saying congrats to Yam Yam for winning. What did you think about it, and did she make a wise choice to make fire instead of giving it to Carson or Marianne? Yeah, and for those of you who haven't seen Survivor, sorry, I just kind of thought about that, but it's been a week. I feel close to it. I feel all right talking about it. First of all, as far as giving the fire away, yeah, I think she. I don't know. I don't think you should be penalized if you win. And let me just say, I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. I love that Final Four competition to see who gets to make that decision with the balls rolling on those different tracks. I would love to sit down and try that thing and see how long I can go, because it looks so simple, and yet just a split second of not paying attention, you lose it. So I don't think that if you win that thing, you should be penalized by choosing to avoid fire making and going straight to the final three and hopefully getting votes from the jury. I would hate that you don't get recognized, you don't get credit enough for that. So I don't think she should have been penalized if she didn't go to fire making. But at the same time, if you're willing to do it and you survive, and she beat Carson, and I think that carries some extra merit. I know during my season, I talked a lot about the fact I wasn't playing for second or third place. I was taking some chances to try to get to first. That was kind of the background of why we kept Holly instead of Tommy, because I thought it would give me the best chance to win it, not just to get to the final three or second place. And I feel like she was doing the same thing. So it didn't work out. She only got one vote. I thought she deserved more. And Carolyn didn't get any votes. I love watching Caroline. I'm so looking forward to meeting her at some point in time. Miss Fire is saying, did Carson play a similar game like Cliff on Big Brother? Well, you have fantasy picks episode for Big Brother as well. That's interesting. We could do that. Zachary and I played a little fantasy Survivor, which was fun, picking every week, who survives, do they get points because they won immunity, things like that. It's kind of cool. I don't know. Maybe we could do something like it. Would be fun to do something like that out here with all you guys. So I'll look into it. Maybe we'll see if we can do something like that. As far as the game Carson played, yeah. I mean, yes, I think Carson played a game similar to the way I would play Survivor if I was on the show. He tried to develop relationships with everyone. He was a little strategic in some of the choices that he made. Even back in the very beginning, I feel bad. I can't even remember her name, which is unfortunate, but there was someone else on his tribe that was incredibly brilliant and great at solving puzzles and all of that. And at the time, he basically got on board to get her out, even though I think she was a huge asset to her tribe. But I think it was Carson just saying, there can only be room for one big problem, puzzle solver in this tribe. And so, yeah, he took it. He he did what he needed to do to protect his position and all that. I think Carson played a great game. I love the guy. I met him once before the season started. Now I'm looking forward to meeting him again now that he can give me a little bit more information. But yeah, I think he played a very similar game to the way I would try to play. He was pretty good at the puzzles. I was decent at rolling some balls down some ramps and things like that. It does make me think if I ever go on Survivor, there can't be too much practicing of those fire challenges, right? I've started fires before with Flint, not with bows and sticks and all that, but with Flint, with the way they do it, I've done it a few times. I feel like I'd do okay with it. But you get there, God, can you picture doing a fire making challenge and knowing that it's $1 million competition? Because I absolutely believe if Carson had won that fire making challenge, if he had made it to the final three, would he have beat Yam Yam? I don't know. I think he had a dang good chance of winning the whole thing. So for Carson, that could have been $1 million competition, whether you could start fire or not. That's guy. He's going to think about that for the rest of his life. We all do. I think everyone who goes on these shows, especially those of us who make it fairly deep in the process, those last few decisions that each and every one of us makes, you run it over in your mind over and over and over again. I'm probably going to be 80 years old and I'm going to still be thinking about the last 2 or 3 weeks of my season and the different decisions Nicole and I made and all that. And picturing, what could have been, would it have changed? Would have not have changed? In my case, I don't think so, but you never know. And I'm sure Carson's going to do the same thing, but Carson played great. I hope that's not the last we see of Carson. Can you picture Carson on Traitors, the Netflix show or something like that? I think he's got a life in some other stuff for reality TV. Of course, he's studying to be a rocket scientist, an aerospace engineer, work for NASA. He may have bigger and better things looking forward to him, to infinity and beyond, Carson. But no, I love to see him play. Yam Yam. And can I just say it? I've watched the entire season of Survivor 44, and I still don't know whether his name is Yam Yam or Jam Jam. I heard it pronounced both ways, and I don't know. I guess I'll ask him. Maybe I'll go in the middle and say Yam Jam or something and really confuse people. But yeah, I don't know. But he played fantastic. He was the guy. I was all for him because he had such a huge smile on his face. The very first day on the beach, you could just see how enthusiastic he was. He also talked about being happy or enjoying so much that he could go poop in the ocean. He started off a little funny with that, but he did what it took. Everyone loved the guy. I think that's so important when you're asking everyone to give you a vote back. Amazingly, he was able to get a lot of people evicted, and they didn't hold it against him. It was not a bitter jury. I love this season, just the show itself this season, but the cast was fantastic. And I so love to see after the season was over, they're all hanging around with each other. Everyone just seems, it's a shared experience, which we all go through in all our different shows. But, some seasons there's a few people that are just not really as into it as other people are. Not. It seems like for this group of Survivor castaways, they're all family. They came out without anything, at least that we could see, anything too bitter or upset or anything. I don't like seeing that. It's, you've all gone out and done something together, and you ought to be able to come together afterwards and celebrate. And it's got to be tough for those guys, because when my season, I did my show, and once I cast my vote and the show was over, that was it. I mean, other than doing some podcast things like that, our season was over. These guys, I saw a deal today that I guess a year ago today they took off for Fiji, or they landed in Fiji. It's been about a year since they started this kind of adventure. And they just now are to the point where they had to go through the whole filming. They know who won because the winner was announced over in Fiji. So they knew who won. They knew how everything turned out, and they couldn't tell anyone for 9 months or whatever, 10 months. That's got to be tough. Like I say, for me, as soon as I'm out, there's no secrets. Everyone else was telling me all the stuff that I didn't know inside the house. These guys is different. They had to somehow keep a secret. That would have been so hard. I could just see my wife and kids saying, "Cliff, how did you do?" And I don't know whether I would tell them and swear them to secrecy, or I would tease them. I'd say, "Yeah, not so well. Y'all be prepared, just knowing that I could then shock them or whatever. It's got to be hard to do that. But now it's over. They can talk about everything. They can come together, and yeah, so that's cool. And it's different than the way we did it since it wasn't live. But I'm glad they finally got the thing in the book, so to speak. And I think a lot of them will be coming back doing other reality shows. Again, they were just a lot of fun. We've got the cast for 45, and I saw them listed. I don't know names or anything else. We'll talk about that somewhere down the road. But Bruce, who was the very first person gone this year, man, popped his head so hard on that first competition. He's coming back. I'm so happy that he's coming back. He's going to be the one I'm cheering right off the bat. He'll be my number one to cheer for because I thought he was a great guy this season, and I'm so glad that he didn't lose his dream experience just because of an injury on day number one. So yeah, it's gonna be fun watching him. All right, Amanda Lowe saying we binge watched Jury Duty per your recommendation. We loved it. I'm so glad. Amanda, I'm not the least bit surprised that you enjoyed it because it's so cool. So yeah, fantastic. I loved it as well. Now, if you can find it, go check out Joe Schmo. Again, it's a little hard to find, but that's another fun one, very similar. But yeah, I love Jury Duty. All right, Ma is watching Ozark. All right, Ma. Gotta say, I love the first few seasons of Ozark. The last season, still sitting out there. I've watched the first couple of episodes. Haven't really gotten back into it. There was too much lag time. I kind of binge watched the first few seasons, loved every bit of it. Then had to step away for so long while they did this final season. And just haven't been able to capture the spirit again. It's almost like they pushed so hard in the first part that how can they keep up? But I loved Ozark. Ozarks. It was the actors on there were incredible as well. So good. Let me know what you think when you finish up, Ma. You talk about shows that I just binge watch and I just love from start to finish and all that. Ozark's pretty good in terms of some of them. I got a couple more recommendations for those of you who maybe they've been out a few years, so maybe you don't remember them as much, or some of you haven't seen them. One of them, if y'all haven't seen The Wire, especially the first season, but all seasons pretty good. But The Wire is fantastic, a little grittier type show and all that. Well, not that Ozark's isn't plenty gritty all on its own. The other one that a lot of people aren't aware of that I just loved was The Shield. With what's his name, Michael Chiklis, I think. I am. Look up The Shield. It's an amazing. It's about a bunch of corrupt police officers, and it's all kinds of drama involved with that. So yeah, a few more recommendations. But Amanda, I'm glad you loved the Jury Duty, and Ma, I think you're gonna love Ozarks as well. Isn't it funny how we enjoy these shows? It's kind of like Breaking Bad, where we enjoy the person who a little bit of a rebel that doesn't quite color within the line. They kind of take their own path, and Breaking Bad certainly going directions that you wouldn't expect from that character. And Ozark's the same kind of way. In both ways, well, certainly in Ozark's kind of forced into it a little bit. Not so much Breaking Bad, but yeah, we like our rebels even today, right? Great shows. Great shows. So much stuff I need to watch. I got a few shows I watched over the weekend. We'll talk about those in a second. All right. Mark is saying, great talking with your brother last week. Yes, you guys can talk. Oh, yeah. See us at family reunions. We can talk. Biggie Stone saying, you and your baby brother favor each other. Do your other brothers look like you too? Yeah. Well, it's fun. Yes. My brother Robert, who passed, it's been 20 plus years now. He and I look very similar growing up. And then my two youngest brothers, Bowie and Jim, they look like twins. They're 4 years, 3.5 years difference between the two of them. They look exactly the same. They both played football all through high school. Pretty big old broad-shouldered guys and all of that. Bowie, who y'all saw, and now Jim is start off as a police officer. He does some security stuff now and all that, and they still look very similar. So yeah, our family definitely has a look to us, and a lot of it, I think a lot came from my dad. We all have the blue eyes and blonde hair as kids, and it turns darker after a while. But yeah, it was fun talking to Boo. I knew I knew an hour wasn't going to contain us, so we went a little bit further. We could have added another hour to it. After the show was over, we actually turned the thing off and we sat there on the phone and talked for another 10 or 15 minutes. I think I knew he had tried out for Real World or been contacted about going on the Real World. I didn't realize that he made it as far as he did, that he almost made it on to that show, which Real World precursor to Big Brother. How crazy would that have been if my youngest brother was on that show and then I ended up on Big Brother a little bit later? But no, I'm glad he did The Apprentice. They got a little more exposure probably than one of the last few seasons of Real World did. Of course, he could have then gone from that to Real World versus Road Rules, which turned into the challenge, and who knows? But yeah, it's fun talking to Bowie, hearing a few extra little stories. Did you know? I don't think he mentioned on the show. I think we talked about it later. Did you know when that show first started, he had mentioned that they didn't necessarily know what all the rules were to start. It was still pretty unknown at that point. Apparently, the rules were still being written while they played the game, because when they first started, each team had a chest with a slot, I guess, a chest, and every challenge they won, they were supposed to get a coin that you would put into that chest, and don't know what they were supposed to do with it. I don't know if those coins would have maybe bought some kind of bonuses or advantages at the end. They don't know because they did it for, I think, the first episode or two, and then no one talked about it. It stopped being an issue, and so it was never shown in the show. But yeah, originally they were going to get some kind of little token every time a team won, and that would have done something on down the road. We'll never know. But yeah, it's fun hearing some of his insight. My biggest thing has always just been how crazy it was to be on a show like that back then versus the way I did it, where, you know, back then, first of all, you had millions of viewers more than they have on reality TV now, because you didn't have all the cable, you didn't have all the other stuff going on. So you had a lot more people watching the network television stations, and so he had a lot of exposure for that. He mentioned he was on a Today Show and all, but you also didn't have social media. You didn't have all the podcasts. It wasn't as segmented. So I think in Bowie's case, he did fewer appearances, but they were big appearances. Whereas for me, it seems like, yeah, I did every podcast. I've always told people, said, as long as you're being polite and respectful in your podcast and all that, I'll go on any of them. I'll help anyone out who wants to do podcasting and all that. So I've done a lot of them over the past few years and everything else. Some of them not very many viewers and all. That's fine with me. But yeah, a lot more of those as opposed to Bowie going on Today's Show and things like that. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I loved it. We're gonna have to do it again. We'll get. I don't know. I'd love to get my other brother on here as well, Jim. But yeah, he's every bit as big a talker, but he's a little more private and all that. So we'll have to see. Maybe I'll get my mom on, or maybe I'll get Bowie's two daughters on. I truly think I could have kept them on for an entire hour, and we could have had, I don't know what kind of discussion we would have had. It would have been interesting, I'm sure. All right, what else do we have on here, question wise? Then we'll go to a few things. Ma saying, I graduate on Thursday. Congratulations, Ma. But worried about actually walking across the stage. People and camera cause anxieties. Enjoy. You're the star. You can't do anything wrong, Ma. Picture the worst. Well, maybe not the worst. Yeah, picture the worst possible thing that could happen going across the stage. A reasonable. Hey, you trip as you walk up the stage. Your cap falls off or something. Whatever. No one's gonna care. They're all there to celebrate. This is a graduation is a fun celebratory moment. So yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's your time to shine. Go get that diploma, shake hands, make sure you're smiling while you do it. It's so cool. I remember every graduation that I've ever done, I think pretty much. So yeah, enjoy your walk and walk with your head held high because you absolutely deserve it. All right. Tyson saying, Tyson 1000. Hey, Tyson. How do you feel about Big Brother 25 being delayed? Here's my thinking on that. And I do have some news on Big Brother 25, so we'll talk about that too. Was it delayed just because of the writer's strike? Is it just because they wanted that content in the fall season, so they delayed it, saying, hey, let's let's hold it off a little bit just so we make sure we've got enough material for CBS with the writer strike and all. Is that why it was delayed? Or is this part of a change in philosophy in terms of how Big Brother is done? I don't know, because it certainly seems like it's been delayed a little bit during the COVID years because there was extra time spent quarantining for COVID. Are they still going to do that? I wonder, is there still going to be COVID testing that takes place uh, for this season of Big Brother? It's not that it's gone away. There's still COVID out there, but I just feel like people have just kind of accepted, and it was all about avoiding the bubble that was going to really affect our ability to deal with it. Now we're not so much concerned about that. So I don't know. Uh, How do I feel about being delayed? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I like Big Brother being a summer show because everything else is reruns, or at least it used to be. And this was the one new original that kind of captured the summer. It captured this laid back, enjoy the warmth, sitting by the pool. It was a summer activity. And when you don't start it till August, it makes it tough. So I don't like it because I'm ready for it to start right now. The other thing is that once you get into the fall, there's so much other stuff going on. We've got football season starting up, which y'all know me. I mean, it's going to be tough competing with football. Means every Sunday night, Big Brother's going to be delayed because of football games going long and things like that. Our attention is elsewhere. Temperatures are changing. There's just a school starting, so people are busy with that. Teachers, students, etc. Now, I like keeping it summertime, but they didn't ask me. And there again, I just don't know if it's just because of the writer's strike or not. I hope that's all it is, and we go back to a more standard schedule. But I don't know. We'll find out. Now, talking about Big Brother news, right? Nothing huge, nothing major. I don't know who the cast is or anything else, but I did see a blurb right before we came on tonight with a little bit more information. I don't know where it came from. I'm hoping it's legit because I didn't have time to fact check, which I usually like to do because there's so many rumors out there. And I'm not going to mention any specific accounts, but there's a few people who are famous for throwing spoilers out and things like that. Don't believe them. I don't believe these people. Just because sometimes they're right doesn't mean that they're always going to be right. And I think there's way too many people out here on social media posting rumors because they're guesses, and if they're right, then they get some credit. If they're wrong, whatever. No one really pays that much attention to it. And meanwhile, they get all these people clicking on their accounts. I don't trust a whole lot of see, but I did see this talking about Big Brother 25 starting August 2nd, 65 days from now, if my math is correct. Still over 2 months, dang. But starting August 2nd, they did mention what we've heard before, that's going to be all new house guests, no returnings, and that's the way they phrased it, all new house guests. So I think this idea that anyone's coming back, I just don't think it's going to happen, even though it's Big Brother 25. But they did mention that there's going to be a lot of throwbacks to the past seasons. So even though we've got all new people, don't be surprised if a lot of these competitions go back to competitions that we've seen in the past, which I'm looking forward to. Maybe that means that we have some food comps or luxury comps of some sort. Some of the more silly comps that they had in the beginning, as opposed to just nothing but hardcore physical type activities, challenges, and all that. I'd like to see some of that. But suppose there's going to be throwbacks. Who knows what the house could be? What if every room in the house, Big Brother house, is from a different season? HOH room could be our camp house, and kitchen could be. You got a lot to pick from. I'm not sure I like that as much as just a single solid theme, but it's going to be fun to see how they do that. So I'm looking forward to that. And what else? There was something else I mentioned if I think of it. But yeah, so waiting for Big Brother. Few more months for me to get my rest in while I can, because once it starts, again, those overnight feeds, won't be a lot of sleep being had in the Hog household. All right, Vicky Stone saying, so glad there'll be all new house guests on Big Brother this year. I agree. And now, if they won't bring me back, then I'm not going to complain. But, yeah. And she said, would only like All Stars if Cliff Hogg was a house guest. Well, thank you. I kind of think the same way. I mean, you could bring me back and let me handpick a couple of other people to bring back with me, because there's some people I would have fun with. There are people I would love to play the game of Big Brother with, which I'll never get the chance to, because it's just not the way it works out to. But uh, there's a lot of fun folks. Donnie or Kevin or uh, uh, I- there, it'd be going all hour if I start talking about all the names of people I enjoyed watching from seasons past. But yeah, there's certainly some people I'd love to match wits up against in playing the game. But yeah, I too like having all new house guests because we learn new things about people, and it's new people getting a chance to have the experience and to see how well they actually match up and everything. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, other Big Brother news before we go on anything else. I don't know we may talk Big Brother a little bit more, but did y'all know Xavier, winner of Big Brother 23, just got engaged? Misfire. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun a little. Yeah, Xavier is engaged. I just saw the announcements. Congratulations to him. And oh, and Tammy Flanagan saying that Raven, she just got engaged. Is that Raven you're talking about? If not, correct me. I may have missed it, but yeah. So congratulations, Xavier's getting married. Mickey from my season is engaged. He's getting married, and Nicole from my season is engaged, getting married first of next year. I'm so happy for her. Not that I'm not happy for the others, but yeah, all kinds of man, people getting married, people getting having babies. If life goes on, right? All of you, these people play Big Brother, myself included. You play Big Brother. 3 months, 3.5 months, you're in the spotlight. Everyone's watching everything you do. They're criticizing or applauding every single word, action that you take. Then after that happens, most of us just go back to real life, which is family and work and everything that everyone does. But yeah, every once in a while something happens and someone gets the engagement ring or the baby and all of that. And I love watching it. These are all people I've met now, and so I feel like I'm invested a little bit more with their life outside the Big Brother house as well. And it's always cool when I see that stuff happening. So congratulations for Xavier. All the best wishes for an amazing, incredible life. He won $500,000, or was his 750,000. I think his was 750,000. So yeah, I think you probably enjoyed a pretty nice little honeymoon for that kind of money, Xavier. Y'all go out and have fun. All right, Kiki saying, I like the showmances this season on Survivor. Yeah, Maddie and or Matt and Franny. Yeah, I did too, and I loved seeing it the kind of the reunion show that they're still together. Apparently, I like that as well. It's tough. We've had a lot more showmances on Big Brother. Some stick, some not so much. But we've had more on Big Brother. It's a little tougher on Survivor, where people are out there haven't showered in 39 days or whatever, and uh, it would certainly be a little more difficult to develop the showmance and all that. But they did it, and they were so much fun together. And I gotta say, and I saw people being a little critical or talk about the fact everyone knew about it. The reunion show, they said, yeah, we knew it was making as a target and everything else. And it was dangerous to have a showmance or even a tight connection out there. They knew what was going on. But at the end of the day, they may get something. I mean, Jam Jam's getting $1 million, so he's doing pretty well. But they may get something out of this that's worth more than all the money in the world that Survivor could pay. If it turned into a long-term permanent relationship, well, they got the true prize, right? So yeah, more power to them. I'm glad they could make it work. I look forward to meeting both of them, but they're one of those that I think, I can't remember if it's Danny or someone in the reunion show said, there's some people you just see and the way they interact with each other, they should be together, whether they are or not. And that's what I felt. You just see it. So yeah, I like seeing that. It was a fun season for all kinds of reasons. One of my favorite Survivor seasons in quite a few years. It was fantastic. All right, what else do we have on here? Cindy Hire saying pigs in a blanket. All right, Cindy, that's what we always call it. Snakes in a blanket. I don't know if there's other words for it, but I love me some pigs in a blanket. They're dangerous because they're like Lay's potato chips. You can't just eat one. Mark saying seemed like this year had too many puzzles, some Survivor, and also what do you think of the play of Marianne on Survivor? First of all, Marianne. Oh, I was cheering for her. I covered that season with recaps. I said at the very beginning, I was cheering for her because they never showed her without her smiling and enjoying the experience. Even when I know she was so stressed out trying to make decisions, you could still see that she was there to have fun and was having fun. And I met her afterwards. I met her at Hearts of Reality last December. She was still smiling. She is exactly in real life the way she was portrayed on the show. And that's who I always cheer for. I'm always going to cheer for the optimistic person who says, stress be damned. I'm going to enjoy every day I've got on this earth, no matter what. And I feel like Marianne is like that. So I love watching Marianne play the game. So yeah, a lot of fun. All right. What else? The werewolf mask. What do you think the theme of the Challenge 39 could be? I don't know. I feel like going back before I talk about the challenge. Yeah, I do feel like there were a lot of puzzles. I feel like obstacle courses little too predictable. I said just every challenge seemed is very similar to the other ones. I want them to shake it up. The fact that Carson had prepared and built puzzles and everything else, hopefully that's a little bit of a wake up call. And we see a major shakeup from the game side of Survivor because I want to see it always fresh, and that's the one area that maybe wasn't quite there. All right, as far as the challenge 39, I don't know. I almost feel like I'm getting overwhelmed with challenge because we've got challenge on MTV, we've got challenge versus the world, we've got the challenge figuring out who's going to represent the U.S. against the world, and you've got those challenges are pulling people mainly from CBS reality shows, whereas the other challenge has the people who've been there season after season. I don't know. I think they need to pull it all in and make a decision about how they want to focus going forward. And I know there's politics and business and everything else that may make that difficult, but I don't know. I don't like the seasons where you have a ride or die or a duo or something where you are so dependent upon another person. And it seems like a lot of these past recent seasons have involved that. I like when it's just you and you got to work your own thing. And was it a few years ago where every season, or I think it may have been the challenge to see who went against the world, where you had a different partner assigned to you every week. I kind of like that, I suppose, but I just like it when you're part of a big team as opposed to just a single person that you're hooked at the hip to, because that makes it tough. And sometimes I don't think you can shine as much as you want to. Now, maybe it makes the strategy more important and more valuable. How can you survive when you've got someone else who maybe isn't supposed to be watching your back, who maybe isn't always doing so? How are you flexible enough for that? But now I kind of wish they'd go back and just a free for all. Everyone's on their own or something. I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. I hope it's something new that we've never even seen before. Tough to do when you've got that many seasons of the challenge under already taken care of. But I don't know. We'll find out. All right. What else do we have on here? Bing Bing saying, what's your favorite Pixar movie? Cindy Hire saying it's Toy Story. Guy, I can't really argue that in terms of Pixar. I mean, Toy Story was the first, right? The original. Still remember taking our kids to see that. We were living in Oklahoma City at the time. Quail Springs Mall. Amazing, these little things that stick in your memory. But I remember showing up and Woody's Roundup. Yeah, everything about Pixar was so new and unique back then, and so yeah, I loved it. Got to be my favorite. Now, I've seen Toy Story 2. I've seen the original Toy Story. I've never seen 3 because my kids, it came out by the time they were going off to college and said, don't watch it. You and mom will just cry the whole time. And so I've never actually watched it. And now there's a Toy Story 4. I need to check it out as well. So I'm a little behind the times as far as that goes. But yeah, I love Toy Story. Pixar's had some good ones. So yeah, I'll stick with Cindy and say the same thing. Toy Story, definitely my favorite. My mom's out here. Hey, mom, how are you doing? I'm sure she had fun watching Bowie and I last week. Sue saying, my mom's saying, Jasmine on Big Brother 24 also had a problem with her foot and ankle for a while, plus a long birthday month. Yeah, Jasmine took advantage of that birthday. I would have done the same thing. I mean, why? Anything that you can use to create an advantage in the house, go for it. I mean, Jasmine I do think she milked her ankle injury for a little bit longer than she should have. I did the same thing. I tore a calf muscle when I played in the game. And it was a true injury. I was so worried my whole game was messed up because I was having a hard time even walking when I first had that thing happen. But I certainly limped around a little bit more than I needed to, and downplayed how well I was healing up for just a little bit longer because I needed all the help I could get. So I don't really fault Jasmine for for milking that injury as much as she did. I just feel like you reach some point where it's not really feasible. It's not, or no one's really going to believe it any longer. And then it kind of gets a little silly. And I will say this, when I could barely walk, I still was never asking anyone to go fix me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or certainly assist me with toileting duties or anything else. So yeah, having said all that, Jasmine was fun to watch, and yeah, she did have a pretty long birthday as well. Thank Every year's a birthday year, right? Spend all year celebrating your birthday if you can get away with it. But yeah, the only thing that really stuck me at Jasmine was when she said, "You can't evict me on my birthday week, right?" And then, or because my birthday's coming up, and now you can't evict me because I just celebrated my birthday, right? There's none of that stuff inside the house. Your week, when it happens, it happens, and it can't have anything to do with what may be personal in your life in terms of celebrations or anything else. Because if they don't get you out when they think you need to go out, there may not be another chance on down the road. But she tried. Nothing wrong with trying. She was quite the character. Casting did a good job that season with last. It's just last season. It seems like so long ago, but yeah, I met Jasmine very briefly at Hearts of Reality as well, and yeah, she's nice and all that. But yeah, that was fun. I spent a lot of time laughing about that ankle injury. They never gave me one of those little carts to wheel around on. They just said, "Hey, put some ice on it, and we'll keep it wrapped up and see how you do." And I limping all around in that house. Give me that little cart with a little squeaky wheel. I could have been racing back and forth a little bit more, but that's all right. I healed up. I made the best of it. So that was fine. All right. Miss Fire saying Big Brother has a better romantic track record than The Bachelor. I believe it. And yet I'm still amazed that that's the case because I can't, for the life of me, I just don't know how you can fall in love and develop such a tight connection with someone put into such a unique, stressful environment where people have their own objective, which no matter how much you two may have in common, may not involve you, right? Everyone, you should be coming in wanting to win ahead of romance or anything else. And so to get in there and find your soulmate under those conditions just amazes me. Absolutely. I would not expect any showmance created under those circumstances to last. And yet they do. Now, as far as them versus The Bachelor, I think part of it is because your expectation coming into The Bachelor is you're going to find a romantic partner. Your objective is to find love. So you feel obligated. Whereas with Big Brother, if it happens, it happens. So maybe you feel more loose about it and more accepting of it. So I see why it's more than The Bachelor, but I still don't see how it can possibly happen in that type of environment. Now, part of it may be you're stuck in that house. You got nothing to distract you for 24 hours a day. You have to talk to all these people. If you find someone that you can kind of sync up with, that can agree with what you believe and laugh at your jokes, and I can't see how two people could find a desire to really spend a lot of time together while you're inside that house, because you want to find someone that you think you can trust and all that. So I get why while you're inside the house, so many of these showmances happen. It's just when you get out, people's personalities have to change, and that's what always amazes me. Man, I did not like the showmances during my season. I was so tired of that. It just made playing the game that much tougher when you knew these people were all so committed to each other. Drove me bonkers. All right, Ma saying Marianne is my favorite New Era winner. I got no issue with that, Ma. I would I don't. There've been some good ones. I'll throw out Gabler. There's a lot of people that didn't like Gabler. I like Gabler. Maybe it's the age commonality or something else, but I like Gabler too. But Marianne, she was so much fun. So I agree. And Miss Fire saying Gabler. I should just read a little more. Miss Fire saying Gabler, Marianne, Yam Yam, and Tony V are mine. All of them great. Tony was great, man, hiding in his little hideout to eavesdrop on people. I feel like he played the game a little differently than other people. Man, we could take a whole hour just going back and talking about the last 10 seasons of Survivor and some of these folks. Not all of them winners. Some of them, burned out a little quicker than they should. But I just think casting does such a good job. Not that Big Brother isn't great with their casting as well. It's just I feel like sometimes Survivor has a little bit more diversity. And I'm not just talking about ethnicity. I'm talking about age and geographical region and lifestyle and people who live out in the backwoods versus who lives in the big city. And I just feel like there's so many different types of people that show up on Survivor. And whereas with Big Brother, I do feel like there's a little bit of a characteristic stereotypes that you get every single year. The alpha guy, and you get some of that in Survivor, but y'all know what I mean, right? I just feel like Survivor a little bit more all-encompassing in terms of how they drag the people in. From an age point alone, the age range is so much more spread out in Survivor than it is in Big Brother. I played Big Brother. I was the only, as far as I know, I was the only person that was over the age of 30 while I was in that house, or close to it. So I had 25 years on everyone else in that house. Whereas with Survivor, you get a lot more of a range of ages. Not all old, not all young. You just get a nice little spread. And I would like to play Big Brother some year and have something similar to that, where I don't feel like I'm a target immediately coming in just because I'm the only guy that's several decades older than everyone else. That made it tough to play the game, but it also made it just that much more challenging. I've never been one to turn down a challenge. I knew what it was going to be like going in, being the one old guy. How come they don't have older women in Big Brother? Not nearly as much. I'd like to see that one of these days as well, just to see how they do. I'm not going to throw out any names. I was getting ready to throw out a name or two, and then people would get mad if I even referred to them as older. So I'll just leave it alone. But older guy, bring some of the older ladies too, because they can play the game of Big Brother. I'd be curious to see how they did. All right. Wow, 7:56. It goes so fast. All right, let's see what else. Is there anything else I was going to try to talk about? We talked about Big Brother. Man, I'm exhausted, guys. I spent the weekend watching our my daughter and son-in-law's dog while they were off doing some stuff. So Sharon and I watched Athena is her name. Watched her all weekend. She's a great dog, but she is still a puppy. She's still full of energy. I got a lot of exercise in because I was taking her for so many walks around the neighborhood. The weather finally got fantastic down here. So taking her for walks all over the neighborhood. I got in a few steps myself, which is not ever a bad thing. So goal was to tire her out before I ever got her back to the house, and did a lot of that. But yeah, a lot of fun. Found out she loves playing soccer. So I did a lot of time kicking the soccer ball with her. I had a blast this weekend. It was a lot of fun. All right, Brian's saying Survivor is casting in Ohio on June 15th. A couple of friends are trying out. Well, Brian, a couple of friends. I think there's one more person that needs to be on there as well. That's cool. I guess I didn't realize that we saw this season, every episode, Jeff Probst was out there saying, try out for Survivor. If the only way you get on is if you try it and all that. I guess I hadn't really realized that Survivor was starting to do some in-person casting calls as well. Good. I'm glad to see that. So cool. Speaking of Brian, I finished up The Voice. Sorrel. Oh man, still my favorites. Now, for those of you who don't want spoilers, plug your ears for just a second. But just because they didn't win doesn't mean that they weren't still the ones getting my vote. I look forward to seeing what they do going forward. Nothing against the woman who won. Amazing voice, and really, she had some great songs too. But Sorrel was just fun. So I bet y'all are gonna have fun talking about that and reflecting on it going forward and everything else. So that's cool. All right, so Brian, Survivor video, right? Go for it. I've told people before, even if you have no desire to be on Survivor, try out for the show. One, it's good practice, and that never hurts in terms of getting in front of a camera and just talking away and all that. It's good practice no matter what. Two, these casting people all know each other. They all talk. Just because you may not really want to be on one show doesn't mean they won't take your name and pass you on to someone else. Talking to Bowie last week, I was amazed to find out. I don't remember if he mentioned this on the show or not. He and I both know, we both have in common one casting person who was involved casting with him after he got evicted or fired. She was with the fired people, kind of hanging around and all that. So he knows her. She was involved in casting, not necessarily for my season, but for later seasons of Big Brother. But I know her. And so there's some connections within casting. So try, y'all, any of these Survivor calls, circle, whatever, try out, because you never know who may pass your little video on to someone else. Next thing you know, you're getting the call from some show that you don't even know anything about. There were people, season 1 Survivor, season 1 The Apprentice, season 1 Big Brother, didn't have a clue what they're getting into, and here we are. All right. With that being said, it's 8 o'clock. We're going to shut it down, guys. After watching the dog all weekend, I may go take a little nap or something. Congratulations, Ma, for your soon-to-be graduation. Congratulations, Keith, for walking the stage as well and surviving that all-nighter. I'm so proud of y'all guys. It's so cool. Again, do a little celebrating. Y'all have a fantastic Monday. Again, it's Memorial Day, so say a little prayer. Thank you for those who paid the ultimate price. There's way too many of them, but it's what gives us a chance to come out here and play silly games like Big Brother and talk on YouTube and all that. So think about that. Y'all have a fantastic week. I will be back next Monday. Until then, guys, SKD 143. Enjoy your week. Go out and sign up for my channel if you get a chance. Turn on notifications, thumbs up, and all that's appreciated. Guys, y'all have a great one. Enjoy. I think it's the first week of summer. It's got to be, right? As hot as it is, it's got to be. Enjoy the summer. Until next Monday, y'all have a great one, guys. Cheers, my friends.